It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
What's up, NHRA fans? Happy New Year. Joe Castello back with you. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. We got a great week. These are our first shows of the 2020s, and it is going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've got Alan Reinhart just minutes away. But this week, Erica Enders, the driver of the decade in Pro Stock. We're going to hear from Erica. It is going to be a wide-ranging, in-depth interview that you're not going to want to miss. She has had such a great career. And yes, I'm going to tell her that I've never seen Right on Track, the movie. But I'm going to watch it now that everybody has got Disney+. Everyone is going to watch it. We're going to hear from Reinhart. We're going to talk about what's coming, testing, news of the week, and warm into this season as everybody that I follow is super excited about getting back going again. It's just not time just yet. We're about 30 days out, which is it a long time? Is it a short time? I don't know. I do know that this weekend I'll be headed to Georgia for the NHRA Division II Awards banquet ceremonies. It's going to be great, and I will do some recording of stuff there, and we'll play it back next week. Also on the show this week, we've got Super Gas World Champion, the Lucas Oil Series, Jeremy Mason. So we are going to have a lot of content. We're going to keep catching up with those champions. I think just 2 more to go, I would say. 2 more to go, in that we need Sandy Wilkins, and we need Danny Nelson, and then we done with our champs. And it is going to be great. If I didn't get with somebody, please remind me and let me know. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WFO Radio, on all of those. We're going to be ramping up our social media coverage over the course of 2020 as we continue to evolve. If you've got friends who have never heard of the podcast, maybe they're new podcast listeners, by all means, let them know about the show. Let them know that they can hear all kinds of interesting people, and I'm there too, right? I had a great holidays. I went to Williamsburg, Virginia. I went to Washington, D.C. I rode up to the Capitol on one of those electric scooters. Had a great time, but really now just ready to get back, get focused on racing, on NHRA drag racing, the Lucas Oil Series, the Mellow Yellow Series, and all the news that is about to come our way. As I know of a bunch of different things that have yet to be announced, that are going to be announced very soon. Like, what is the announcement? I don't know what it is. I don't know. Meaning I got their subjects, but what are they going to do? Who's going to be where? These are the things that you've got to follow WFO Radio, at least to get some opinions, thought, and conversation about it. Now, this show, of course, is a sponsored podcast, and I have some sponsors. Just want to say their names and tell you a little bit about them. We changed our format last year a little bit. Instead of a 3-hour show, we now put them out individually. I think you will notice over the coming weeks some differences. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. You can get the podcast just about anywhere where you get your podcasts. But it is because of these sponsors that we are able to do this. And there may come a time that you need what they have, and if that time comes, please use them and say that you heard it on WFO Radio. Like MagicDryUS.com. Everybody needs a little Magic Dry. If you got a shop, of course, get Magic Dry. If you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. But the bottom line is you're going to spill something at some point. You're going to need to clean it up. Why wouldn't you use MagicDryUS.com? Magic Dry. Scott Palmer going to be back out there. I'm very excited about Scott and what they've got going. It's made out of coconut. It's lighter weight. It's easier to use, absorbs more, and not bad for the environment. Simple as that. Go to the web, order it up, and they'll ship it right to your house. MagicDryUS.com. Total Seal Piston Rings. One of the great things that we have done is create the Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal podcast, available in all the same places you get WFO radio. We've got 3 episodes up, working on more episodes, and it's going to go all year long, so subscribe and write a review. But what they're telling you about, what the point is that piston rings are often overlooked. People buy pistons and they use the rings that came with them, and that's that. But that's not really how you want to do it. You want to do it from the rings back. Like, start at the rings. And what's this engine going to be used for? What are you going to be doing it? What are you looking to make? How long do you want it to last? How many miles is it going to go? What temperature is it going to operate at? All of these things, much of them, many of them, are above my head. And I am learning along with everybody else. Bottom line, made in America. And best of the best, use Total Seal. So if you're an engine builder, you're going to build an engine, you should use Total Seal. Piston rings, TotalSeal.com, check them out. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, oh my goodness. NHRA.com has got a great story about Frank Hawley on the front page. Now, we have got the top 100 moments. If you listen to my holiday show that I put up there, we covered moments like, 19 to 6 or something. We will finish the rest of the way. Bottom line, I'll talk about it with Alan. But Frank Hawley has trained like 5 graduates that earned championships this last year. And the story is up on NHRA.com. Imagine going out there and spending the day with Frank Hawley. But for fun, you're not trying to become a champion. You're going out there driving one of his dragsters and ragging it out, doing a burnout, staging it up, going down the track, decelerating, coming back, talking to Frank about it. Like, what was it like? It was great. How can I go faster? That's what the Dragster Adventure is about. The dates are up on frankhawley.com, where they're going. They travel all around the country. I know the holidays are over, and I can't say, look, it's for the holidays anymore. But if someone got you the Dragster Adventure for the holidays because they heard it on WFO radio or vice versa, let me know. I would love to know about your experience. I have had so many people say that they just loved it, because how could you not? It's a lot of fun. frankhawley.com. Samtech.edu, another podcast. Factory Stock Podcast will be back, but really it's about the future of America and the world and the young people out there who are maybe not sure of what they want to do with their lives, and they want to become a high-performance engine builder. How do I do that? What do I have to do, right? No, you go to samtech.edu, and that's where you get started. That's where that kind of stuff starts. And we connected with so many of the graduates last year and learned about what they've got going on down there in Houston, Texas, and how amazing it is, and the Massengill family, and the people that I speak with that go to samtech.edu have got a leg up on the competition. They told me flat out. Go to the website, Samtech, start your education at full speed. And finally, Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. I love getting the reports from the giftees after the holidays. They got their Rodax coffee. They're enjoying it. They're enjoying it every day. And that is why I do it. And Marvin Rodak has done such a great job. I can tell you at another time, I'm not going to tell you right now, this is why the Ignition Show exists, is, what do I get in Marvin? That's a big question. Go to rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. Check out all they've got. Coffee and hot sauces and spice rubs and all of that. And those are our sponsors, plus Drag Racing Edge, EV3 Drag Racing, and the people that cross-promote WFO Radio, Competition Plus. Big help to WFO over our 10 years of existence. But now, it's time to get into it. Joining us now for the first time in the 2020s, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. Alan, welcome. How are you?
Hey, Joe, I tell you, man, I'm already tired. I'm just waiting for the season to end.
I know. This has been exhausting. Being home and not going to the track can be mentally exhausting as well, with all the stuff, the little projects and whatnot. But I would always, I'm much more towards the start of my learning curve. You are an advanced person when it comes to this lifestyle. And
actually,
yes.
It's kind of interesting. When I was in grade school, summer break was one of my best things. And now that I'm not in grade school, winter break is one of my worst things. I'm better when I'm busy. If I've got stuff to do, if I've got a project, if I've got a full calendar, and spending this much time at home is driving me crazy.
Well, absolutely. And you would say that to me, and I would be like, yeah, I don't know, man. And now I see it, like the whole winter break. Yeah, it's good for a little while. But then you want to get going. You know you're going to get going eventually. You're going to go, so let's go now. Except there's no go to go to right now. We got to wait a little bit. Another month, and we'll be at the Winter Nationals, which kind of cool that the NHRA really starts before any other major motorsports. I know the Rolex 24 will go off, and we end right near the end of them all. A very long season. I'm looking forward to it after what we just saw in 2019. We're going to turn the page and kind of look forward at some things that are happening this year. But is there anything that happened during the winter break since we last spoke that you'd like to highlight? I know you took a little R&R. Last time we spoke, I think, was at PRI, and or maybe right afterwards. And here we are now in a not quite a new decade, but a new, whatever you call it, the 2020s.
We're starting the 20s. We start the new decade in 2021, but we're starting the 20s. There's a year overlap there that I think most people don't get. No, nothing like real new. I went down to Daytona and spent a couple of days down there. Just met with some people. You know, as well as I do that nobody in this business has ever said I'd be better off if I didn't have any contacts. And there's a couple of my contacts down in the NASCAR world that are no longer there. But I had a couple of conversations with some people that said, we should get together sometime. And I said, you know what? Let's do it when we're not busy. So blasted down there, spent a couple of days in Daytona, which I really enjoy that place. You know, it's a lot of stuff to do if you're a tourist, and there's also, you know, a lot of relaxation to be had. And then, you know, home for the holidays, had my annual Scotch drinking on Christmas, which was kind of quiet this year. Christmas in Tucson was a bit of a dreary and rainy and not very nice day. So my participation was down a little bit, but nice, quiet New Year's, and I'm ready to sneak back into it. I'm going to Seattle this weekend to do the Division 6 banquet. I'm going to Phoenix the weekend after that for a big education technical seminar, and going to Vegas for testing, and then we'll be in Pomona. So I've at least got stuff on the horizon. I just haven't quite started doing it all yet.
Get those segments in. You got to start out early. Got to start out strong with the segments. And the Daytona thing, I like Daytona as well. Obviously, I'm about 3 hours south of Daytona. Fort Lauderdale is my home area, home beach, Hollywood Beach, really. But I know you used to go there with the late, great Leo Tower, and you fell in love with the place, I guess.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the place. And, you know, I've been going down there now the last couple of years or two of the last three after Gainesville, which is my own little spring break, you know, after we dive into the season and knock a few out. And for me, being on the West Coast, you know, it's not just Pomona and Phoenix, but also division races fire off pretty early out here. And, you know, I usually go down to Florida a week early and do the baby Gators, stay for the Gators. And then by then I'm ready to go kick back, put my feet up, and go down to the north turn, watch the waves break while I listen to a little NASCAR and just relax. So, you know, any excuse to go to Daytona, I think, is a good one.
There you have it. I will be going to the NHRA Division II award ceremony this weekend up in Jekyll Island, Georgia. So we'll both be doing divisional award ceremonies this weekend. So a little breaking news, as reported by the Reading Eagle. This is something you made me aware of, and it's kind of cool. Posted by Keith Smoker, the Reading Eagle correspondent, just today. King of Prussia Company set to buy Maple Grove Raceway in Berks County. And it goes on. People can find it on the web. But it goes on to talk about how a group of developers are going to try to buy the track. That is good news.
Yeah, and when you say developers, let's be really clear that they do not want to like flatten it out and make it into, you know, apartments. They are looking at expanding the racing facility, potentially adding some different types of racing, be go-karts, be drifting, be that kind of stuff. But they are aware of the history of the place and seem to be real enthusiasts. So, you know, there's obviously a lot more to the story that isn't known yet. But I think that if a racetrack is changing hands, I very much want to see it go to people who are involved in and looking for doing more racing. So I hope that's good. I believe, you know, the story says that they're planning on keeping all of the current personnel in place and, you know, still working on some of the stuff in the transition, but I took it as good news.
Absolutely. And that's one of our, you know, great facilities. Maybe it's not the Bellagio of drag racing, but it's certainly a hardcore, old school track with one of the best fan bases we've got in one of the most populated parts of the country. And so, you know, let's hope it all works out and it's all true and goes through. And, you know, great job by you finding that one. And that's something, I'm not going to stress about too many things, but losing Maple Grove to someone that wants to turn it into a, strip mall. That's what they make in South Florida, right? Everything becomes a strip mall. That is really good news to me for the start of the 2020s.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the fact that they are starting off with a good relationship, with the town council and the local governing bodies, which is good. They're talking about making some improvements, which I think, we all agree. Maple Grove had a few things that could certainly be polished up on a little bit. And I think that's good. I love the fact that, and if you read the story, one of the principals in the bottom said, we're reaching out to the locals, to the neighbors, and we want to hear your complaints. We want to know what the problems are so we can get out there fixing them and trying to be good neighbors. So I think that's a great approach going in. Looking forward to meeting those guys and hopefully continuing a relationship with NHRA. It's been going on for a long time now.
Absolutely. All right, so NHRA has got testing coming up. I know everybody wants to get talking about testing, so I'm front-loading the show with some 2020 Mellow Yellow Series season-related discussion. Typically, over the past, several years, for a while, came to Palm Beach, Florida, and I understood when the series moved off to a different place, speaking of Arizona, because it was an actual national event track. It was closer to Pomona, and as much as it was sad for us to lose a little Nitro here in South Florida, I get it and understand. But now this year, it looks like testing is going to be split, 2 different tracks. Some racers going to one place, some racers going to another place.
Yeah, Wild Horse in Phoenix is got a test going on, and the Strip at Las Vegas also is going to have a test going on, both of them the same weekend, which is the first weekend in February, last couple of days in January, 1st in February, Super Bowl weekend in essence. But both of them, I believe, are not planning on running on Sunday. Their test is going to wrap up on Saturday because most people are going to be watching the big football game. And if I understand correctly, neither of them will be open to the public. So they won't be selling tickets at either one of them. It's just going to be an opportunity for a couple of guys to come out and make some runs, kind of get back in the swing of things, or test whatever new stuff you got. As far as who's going where, I haven't seen an official roster yet, although I do understand that the official pro test, and want to make sure that that's 2 different words, the test from the professional racing organization is going to be in Las Vegas, but I did talk to half a dozen teams, or a number of them, I guess, that say they're planning on going to Phoenix. They like Wild Horse, so they're going to be a little bit of Nitro in Arizona, a little bit in Nevada before they all make the short jump over to Pomona.
Interesting. And that's going to come into play as we handicap the Arizona race, like who tested here, right? Did they get a leg up on the competition in that you get to run at a national event track within a month or so of when you're going to race?
Well, hopefully they'll have good weather at both places. That's really the key. One of the things that's always a little bit of a crapshoot, we always talk about the fact that, the great weather in Arizona is the reason that people live here, because it doesn't snow in the winter. Same thing down in your neck of the woods, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get cold. I've been to test sessions in both Phoenix and in Las Vegas where, the high temperature is 42 degrees and you really can't learn anything. I mean, it's better than being in Ohio where the high temperature is 28 degrees. But so hopefully the weather will be good at both places and we can get off to a successful jump of the season.
Exactly. So what are the teams doing right now, Alan, for our listeners out there who are, looking at their calendars, as I'm sure you've already done, and marking off which races you're going to go to? I would imagine our listeners and the diehard fans are planning, right? Like where they're going to go, which races, which 2 or 5 or 7 races that they're going to hit. What about the race teams right now? They just came off New Year's, maybe got a little bit of a break, but now it's time to update, to change, to get ready, to change over. What kind of activity is happening in the shops?
You nailed it. Update and upgrade is what a lot of the teams are doing. If you've got a new car being built, or you're going to do a new front half, or maybe you're changing some of your combination from, whatever you were running last year to the latest generation stuff this year. One thing that almost every team does, and it's a solid 2 or 3 week deal, is to go empty the trailer and start over again. And believe it or not, that's a big part of it, is you go back, through the course of the year, things get stuffed in corners and in shelves and in drawers and in whatever. And you really get to the end of the year, and it's amazing when you pull back in and just flat empty everything. I mean, every notebook, every pencil, every socket, everything comes out of the trailer. And then you go, oh, that's where that spare ignition box was. I wonder what happened to that when we were in Maple Grove. Or, okay, so that's what I did with that set of lifters that I took out that I was going to look at that, we never did anything with after Dallas, and then kind of start over again. And it's something that needs to be done, one, because you have things in the trailer that just ended up being pushed someplace and forgot about, out of sight, out of mind, and because you also have stuff in the trailer you no longer need. You find out that we've been carrying around 800 pounds of junk that should have been taken out of the trailer when we came back after Denver, but we just never got around to getting out of the trailer. So that's a big deal. And then you go back in, replace everything, reorganize everything, restack everything, and that's something that pretty much every team does at this point in the season. By now, should be close to being ready to go racing. Most of the teams and shops shut down Christmas, New Year's. It's just a good break for the guys to spend some time with their families and do that. And you really have enough time between Pomona and Pomona to get done what you need to do. So that's an opportunity that you can spend the holidays and spend the family time. And at this point, I think everybody's kind of loading their trailers and going, okay, what do we need for the test? What do we need for Pomona? What do we need for Phoenix? Because once we leave, that's where we're going to be before we come back. Nobody's going back to Indy between Pomona and Phoenix. Nobody's going back to Indy between the test and Pomona. So you've got to be loaded for, in essence, a Western swing, 3 events before you head back, and everybody should be getting loaded up and ready for that.
Very exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that my racer mentality DNA is correct in that you just described the way I like to clean my garage, right? Like I take everything out and throw it in the yard and then only put back what needs to be there and start from scratch. And then somehow 1 month later, it's all messed up again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was going through, and this goes back a couple of years, but I was going through some stuff in my home store.
Hey, you got muffled. Wait a second. You got all muffled. Start again.
I was going through some stuff in my home storeroom, and I decided, this is time I need to do the same thing, right? Just go down to the bare walls and floor and start over again. And as I'm digging stuff out, and you pick this piece up and go, okay, that thing was broken when I put it in here 4 years ago. What was I thinking? And straight to the dumpster it goes. So, you definitely need to do that every once in a while. To tell you the truth, my shop could use a little bit of that right now because it's starting to get a little bit cluttered with stuff that I know that I don't need. And it's also starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, where did I put that thing the other day when I had it? And I can't find it. So, but the race teams, that's kind of an annual ritual for most of them. And it needs, maybe I'll turn that into my annual ritual first week of the new year every year. That'll give me something to do when I'm, sitting home complaining about not having anything to do. And
you could turn your annual Christmas scotch tasting into a Christmas scotch tasting / yard sale. Right? Garage sale. And you could sell the stuff that, half-baked projects by celebrity announcer Alan Reinhart. Like people might, you never know, Alan. You could raise some extra cash.
Yeah, there's an idea, except I need to do it before Christmas. That way people could buy it. You tell everybody, hey, this would make a perfect Christmas present for Fred.
There you go.
Why don't you buy it and just get it out of here for me?
Exactly. See, we're coming up with ideas here. All right, this year, 2020, NHRA will be celebrating the 50th year of Pro Stock, which is a category that I know you love, and you've worked in that world, and I love, and have always loved, and I love the Nitro cars. But for whatever reason that it's hard to explain, I just feel that Pro Stock's my category. I'm sure everybody's got a category they feel that way. This past year, I got to, lay hands on a Pro Stocker with Matt Hartford and the Total Seal team for some bits we did on NHRA social media. It's going to be very exciting. This week, we're going to interview Erica Enders, the 3-time champ, voted driver of the decade, and a lot of good things surrounding Pro Stock. We're going to have a lot of fun this year as Erica tries to become a 4-time and go back-to-back for the 2nd time in her career.
I can tell you why you have such an affinity for Pro Stock. You really don't know?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. It happened when I was 7 years old, so I don't know. Psychoanalyze. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't know about the 7-year-old part, but I know about today. Park your race car next to a funny car, and then point out all the things they have in common.
Yeah, wheels.
And now park your race car next to a Pro Stock car and point out all the things they have in common.
A whole lot.
If you grew up in an era of burning gasoline and, whether it's, shaving the heads for higher compression or putting in a bigger cam or putting on a tunnel ram or doing whatever to make a gasoline engine without a power adder run, that's what Pro Stock is. And that's why so many real hardcore hot rodders have such an affinity for Pro Stock, because even though I never had one, but I understand the mentality of trying to take gasoline without a power adder and make a car as fast as possible, and that's what Pro Stock is.
Makes sense to me. I can tell you this, the anecdotal evidence, when I go back to my local track once a year and see all my friends, they ask me, and I'm not saying they don't care about John Force and Nitro. That's not what I'm saying. They're fans of it and they're entertained by it, but they always ask about Pro Stock. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 guys either. I'm talking about 5 guys, 10 guys coming up. What's up with Pro Stock? What are they doing? What's next? Are they trying to end the category, over the past 10 years or so? So I get what you're saying. If you have ever tried to make a car a little bit faster, you can relate to what's going on in Pro Stock.
That's exactly it. And, the Pro Stock schedule is going to change a little bit this year as far as which tracks they go to. The mountain motor guys are going to be back with a little bit of an expanded schedule, and that's cool. And, I like those things because they are the same principle, but they're different and they're new. And I like new stuff. If we came up with a rocket car category next week, I think I'd be very intrigued by figuring out the nuances and the different things of that type of an automobile. So, I think it's, for Pro Stock fans, there were a couple of events last year where our hardcore Pro Stock fans really didn't have a whole lot to root for. And that's one of the things I think NHRA was looking at this year, knowing that needed to be changed and needed to be addressed. And that's why the schedule has been shuffled. The detailed schedule stuff, I don't believe is out yet, but the category schedule per event is. So if you live in a part of the country where, maybe you're down where Bristol's not too far away, Charlotte's not too far away, Atlanta's not too far away, Richmond's not too far away, and you want to go to 2 of them, you can take a look now on the NHRA website and see exactly which categories. Top Fuel and Funny Car obviously are at every one of them, but you can see exactly which other pro categories, whether Pro Mod will be there that weekend, or whether it'll be Nitro Harley or Pro Stock Motorcycle or Mountain Motor Pro Stock or whatever. But that schedule is out now, and so the fans can start early on picking and choosing which races they want to go to, so you make sure you can see your favorite category.
And we have seen now that this is going to be year 2 of the 18-race schedule, and NHRA has got some sort of like a rotational plan that they're going to have, which is, if your home track doesn't have Pro Stock this year, there's a chance it will have it next year. Like it'll bounce back and forth between venues, as opposed to just sorry you never get to see it again. So that's heartening to people. Like, all right, maybe you don't see Pro Stock this year, but you might see it next year. And just the same, we got like Pro Mod is going to Brainerd. That's going to be interesting to mix it up for those regions.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I think it's going to be great for, fans that have never been able to see a particular category to get a chance to see it, or fans that, missed it last year. Hopefully we'll be able to get to see it this year. And, I kind of compare that to, if in college sports and actually in pro sports either, there's so much home and away stuff, that, the U of A and Arizona State is obviously our big in-state rivalry out here. And, one year their football team comes to Tucson and they have the game. The next year our football team goes to Phoenix and they have the game. So, we don't necessarily get a home game every year, but we know we've got one coming. And that's, I think, what NHRA is trying to do with the rotation, is let the fans know that, hey, you may not see every category of your event every year, but you are going to have an opportunity to see it. And maybe this is your opportunity to go visit another track if that's a category that is a deal breaker for you, that you desperately need to see with your NHRA.
Oh, yeah. You got to mix it up. I got some friends that go to Dallas every year, and I'm not saying don't go to Dallas. You definitely got to go to Dallas, but it's about add one. They're all different. I didn't know it until much later in life. I figured they were all just like the Gator Nationals, and they're all very different. They got their own character. So, drivers of the decade, Robert Hight, Eddie Krawiec, and Tron Brown. Any problem with those choices, Alan?
Only that the decade's not over yet. But, no, I think, I like the way they did it in the fact that it's a math equation. It's not subjective. How many championships did you win? How many times did you finish second? How many times did you finish third? Let's see what you did over this 10-year span. And the fact that, I can't make it, well, wait, but Joe won more races than Frank. No, this is the way it lines up. I really like the way they did it. I think if you're going to do standings, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, it needs to not be subjective. You need to be able to say, here's my logic, here's my math, here's how it works out. And I think you'd have a hard time arguing against any of those. Certainly you can make the argument that, well, gee, Anton didn't win a championship for the last 4 years. So over the last 10 years, tell me who had a better better, average over time than him, and there's nobody. So no, I like it. I like the fact that they did it, and I like the way they did it as well.
And I'm guessing that's the influence of Jake Sundstrom, who is a numbers guy, analytics kid, who has really done a great thing with his driver rankings. Whether or not you totally agree, it's a great conversation point that gets thrown out there. Erica Enders, who is on the show this week, as will be Jeremy Mason, our Super Gas World Champ in the Lucas Oil Series, had a tremendous season, but really it started off as a grind, right? She was going and battling, and some races running well and losing because of a problem. Other races she had a great reaction time, came up a little bit short. Who knows? But by the Western Swing, as we always say, they had gotten their act together. Runner-up at Brainerd, of course, the heartbreak at Indy, and then, like you said, got mad for that championship run, and now Erica is a 3-time champ.
And I think, again, you're looking at, the body of work over the last 10 years. And, the back-to-back championships that she won in 13 and 14 or 14 and 15. And then what she did now, the team went through a performance slump when they did the brand change. And then once that was out the window, it took them a while to get reacclimated when they came back to the Chevrolet brand. Because then now they're working with fuel injection and the other stuff that they needed. They had some catching up to do, and it took them a couple of years to get there. But I think if you look at the overall body of work for 10 years, that she is the obvious choice there. And I also think that if you're speaking strictly driver, you could make the argument that even when Erica's car wasn't what it needed to be for the team to win, it didn't influence her as a driver. Her reaction time average was always strong. The number of times that she makes a mistake in the car is, I don't know, what's lower than zero. If you're looking for somebody to drive a pro stock car and your only requirement is needs to be a good driver, don't care about media, don't care about public speaking, don't care about TV, don't care about sponsor, needs to be a good driver, you make an argument for somebody that's better than Erica right now or for the last 10 years.
When we speak with Erica, I'm going to mention something to her, but I talked about it in my holiday message, which was recently I got access to Disney Plus, which is the Disney streaming service, and so I'm searching of course, there's all the Star Wars stuff, and there's all the Avengers stuff, and all the Disney movies that we grew up with as kids. But what else is on there? What Disney movies? Oh, here's one. Right on Track. Let me see if it's on there, right? Sure enough, it's right on there. And next thing you know, I'm starting to watch it. And that's when it occurred to me, I've never seen this. I've never seen this movie. I've heard about it. I've seen clips. I've heard people talk about it. I've told people to watch it, but I have never seen the movie. It's a kid's movie, right? And I was just doing other things. So what I'm doing this week, and I'm going to tell Erica and invite everybody who now has Disney Plus, who's never seen the movie, and I think there's got to be a lot of people, Alan, who just never happened to see it. It was 2003 for whatever reason. Brie Larson, who went on to be Captain Marvel in the Avengers, she played Courtney Enders. It's a star-studded affair, and it features NHRA drag racing. So we're going to do a little mini WFO watch party on that deal, whereas everybody just watches it by themselves, and then we talk about it at a later date. But I think it's kind of cool how it's coming back into the fray. Erica, the legend of Right on Track grows bigger and bigger with the more championships she earns.
Agreed. And, and not just Erica from a female standpoint, this particular year, Allison Dahl, of course, in stock, and Megan Meyer in the alcohol dragster category. So 3 female champions amongst our 2 premier categories of Mellow Yellow and Lucas Oil Racing. We've always talked about the fact that women don't just show up in NHRA and women don't just compete in NHRA, but they win. And, Erica is just a shining example.
Absolutely. Going to be very interesting. We'll have Erica Enders and, of course, Super Gas World Champ Jeremy Mason on the show later on this week. So this is the first of hopefully many conversations as we get ready for the season. The schedule a little bit different. Some of the categories, moving around. Any final thoughts, things that maybe we should hit? For instance, here's one. NHRA most memorable moments of 2019. They did a lot of moments, but number 1 was John Force winning his 150th. 2 was Erica winning her 3rd championship, and 3 was John Force winning Indy. To me, number 1 needed to be either John winning Indy or John winning 150, one or the other, and it came out to be John winning 150, which makes perfect sense considering he was fighting for it for so long. Do you agree?
Yeah, I was okay with that. I think, when I looked at the list originally, there were a couple of things that I would have liked to see on the voting list. And one of them, I guess you could make the argument, came as part of Erica winning her championship. But I thought the whole Erica and Greg drama out in Pomona should have been something to be voted for. They don't consult me on that kind of thing, but I do like the way that NHRA puts out, whatever the number is. Here's 100 things. Everybody vote for your favorite 10, and then we're going to compile a list, because then you see what's important to the fans. And since they're such a big part of picking that, John Force obviously has been the biggest star and biggest name in our sport for a lot of decades. And the fact that he had 2 of the top 3 spots, I think, speaks to the fact that no matter, the ageless one still resonates with the fans, and they still enjoy seeing him get out there and mix it up with the kids, as it were.
And speaking on that note, Brian Karate was at PRI wearing Matco Tools gear. And so I think it's, I don't know that it's a secret. It's just there's going to be an announcement, et cetera, as we turn the year. It's still early yet, that he is, obviously wearing Matco gear, so we know where he's going, which means that John Force Racing is going to have a little shuffling to do for the ageless one. And that's just part of the rollout that is January, right? Fun stuff coming. I'm sure everybody's got a little bit of knowledge of what may or may not happen, some of the things coming down the pikes. But this is where the teams get to show their stuff when it comes to social media and PR and marketing, how they roll out this cool information.
You are correct. There are a few other things. Eric Lane, no secret, that was announced on NHRA.com, is now over at Cruz Pedregon. There have been some other changes, crewmen and not necessarily crew chiefs, but crewmen and high seniority guys behind the scenes. So we're going to hear some more news about that as we get into the next couple of weeks.
Very, very exciting. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much for starting us off right here on WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. I'm very much looking forward to it. And, 30 days, Pomona, Winter Nationals. Here we go. We start it all again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I also want to take a second, if I can, Joe, and put a shout out to Bob Varsha. He was recently diagnosed with a pretty rare and aggressive form of cancer. Bob Varsha, of course, who has been in the announcing business for longer than I have. And he's one of the very few guys that I've never shared a booth with, but I've always had a lot of respect for him, listening to him do Formula One stuff, listening to him do Le Mans stuff and IMSA stuff. And I just want to wish him all the best. We always talk about the brotherhood of racing, and I think that there's a brotherhood of announcers too, whether we're close or whether we're not. And I just want to send out best wishes to Bob Varsha. And
Marshall Pruitt actually created a GoFundMe account, which I would encourage everybody to dive in on, because you said it, rare and aggressive form of cancer. Alan, you and Bob and Mike King, formerly of the IMS Radio Network, were the 3 expert guests that I leaned on when, and it's a much greater story for the listening audience, but bottom line, I'll do the 30-second version. I worked at XM Satellite Radio to work on NASCAR Radio, even though I was a drag racing fan, and then NASCAR left XM to go to Sirius when there were 2 companies. And so XM comes to me, and they're like, what are we going to do? And I said, listen, there's a lot of racing out there. Let's just do a great racing show. And they're like, okay, do whatever you got to do. And I said, okay. So I reached out to NHRA and connected with Alan Reinhart, a relationship that is going on to this day. The IMS Radio Network, which is IndyCar, and Mike King was the voice and longest-running voice of IndyCar on the radio. He would come on Wednesdays. The show, you may recall, used to be NHRA Tuesday on XM, if we take it all the way back, Alan. And then Thursday was Formula One Thursday with Speed TV's Bob Varsha. And so Bob and I would come on and do a segment every week, just like you and I did a segment every week. And to wake up to that news today, like, you 3 guys had totally different styles and knowledge and experience, but I drew so much out of you guys. Like Tom Hanks was on the other day and said, if you don't steal from the people you're working with, you're making a big mistake, right? And that means just, emulate the best. To hear that news about Bob was very, very troubling, but to see that the GoFundMe is already like shooting up there, very heartening. And to me, the guy is the epitome of a pro, incredibly smooth, his knowledge amazing. And I did really think that when they did not bring him back to talk Formula One in the United States, I felt like they were making a bit of a mistake, because Americans, if they already have a tough time with Formula One, period, because it's not American. You should have an American telling Americans about Formula One. And I just wish Bob the best.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So, Bob, get better, and I'll go look up that GoFundMe, and I'll get involved with that as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Everybody out there, obviously, if you don't know Bob, he is a great guy, and we got to get him back out there. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You mentioned Bob. I can't help but also mention Frank Iaconio Jr., which I'm sure you heard. Frank's son was killed in a car accident, days ago. Terrible news. Racing icon, safety icon, Bill Simpson. We lost him during the PRI show or just after the PRI show. So it was kind of a tough winter break for those kind of stories. But our heart is with them.
Agreed. We'll have to share Bill Simpson's stories over a beer sometime because he wouldn't have it any other way. I can promise you that.
Yes, the beer part, definitely. I only got one or two, but at least I have one or two, which is good. I'm sure you got some great ones. Alan, great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Enjoy your banquet this weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Alan. Alan Reinhart, voice of the NHRA, joins us each week on WFO Radio Podcast. Subscribe, write a review, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we've got some big interviews coming up this week, as in 3-time Pro Stock World Champion Erica Enders. Going to talk about the career, the life, the season, a wide-ranging interview that I think you are going to love. I know you're going to love it, in fact. And that is where I will tell her about this Right on Track thing that we're going to do. So here's the deal. Those of you who have just gotten Disney Plus, who are in there realizing that you can now have access to every Disney movie creation that has ever been made, and who have also loved NHRA drag racing but have never seen Right on Track like me. Isn't it a bad stat? She was surprised. But you could tell that Erica is a hardcore drag racer, and the little creative license that they took, the liberties that they took, annoy her. You can tell. And I watched the first 10 minutes and I saw a bunch. But that's not what it's about. It's a movie about drag racing set at a drag strip with 2 young girls, children, that grew up to be big-time players in the sport. And the Mickey Mouse knew. He could tell. And that's what it's all about. So join me in watching Right on Track on Disney Plus as soon as is possible for you. No, we're not going to all watch together. We're all going to just watch over the next couple of weeks. And then maybe next week or the following week, definitely the following week because I won't be here next week, we'll discuss. Maybe it was terrible and I didn't know that the whole time. Oh, what a terrible movie. It's very possible it was a horrible movie. I don't think so. It had Brie Larson, who went on to be Captain Marvel, and that's what started the whole thing for me. Brie Larson tweeted a meme from Right on Track talking about how cool it was to be at the drag strip or something like that. And then Courtney Enders got a hold of that, and that's how I saw it. I was like, whoa, I had never made that connection, that Captain Marvel played Courtney Enders. That's what's cool about it. Sometimes you got to go back and look at old things with a new, fresh perspective. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm obviously building up to the sequel, really, is what it's all about. I want to write the sequel, Right on Track 2, Erica Enders, 3-time champ, grown woman, all of that stuff. Now, we're going to have Erica on the show. You're going to love it. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, the WFO Radio app. It is all free. Also, Jeremy Mason, Super Gas World Champ, going to have him on the show. And you don't want to miss any shows. It's going to be great. Also, a couple of things. Performance TV, Motor Trend Network, back on the air. SEMA Show. You've only missed one episode. If you missed it, it was great. Oh, probably the best episode ever from the SEMA Show. You definitely want to check that out. 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning, Motor Trend Network, formerly Velocity. But that was so long ago, you don't even remember that. Motor Trend Network. Search it. It was really good. It was I was happy with it. We will have the SEMA Show this week. Then we will have PRI. And I think you will really enjoy it. There's no review to write. But we do have a Facebook page, Performance TV Facebook page. Check it out. Go like it. Myself, Kathy Fisher. Whole lot of fun. All right. Big thanks to our sponsors, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Total Seal Piston Rings, MagicDryUS.com, samtech.edu, and RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com. They make it possible for me to sit around and chase people all day long, try to get them on the phone to talk on WFO Radio. Also, the people who got the first audio of 2020, were the Patreons. Patreon.com/WFO radio. I invited them to submit some questions for Erica Enders, and they did, and she will answer them. Yes, that is right. Patreon.com/WFO radio if you're into that. Big thanks to our promotional partners. Talking about Drag Racing Edge Magazine, EV3 Drag Racing, The Game. Of course, the folks at Competition Plus always doing a great job. Everybody that helps out WFO. If we all love the NHRA and drag racing in general, the Mellow Yellow Series, the Lucas Oil Series, all that stuff, we've got to be super excited right now because we are about to embark on a journey from Pomona, really from Vegas and Arizona testing, all the way across the country, all around the entire country and back to Pomona. And in November, who knows who will be holding the trophies? It's going to be, what do they say? It's not about the results, it's about the journey. Well, join us on the journey. If you can't make it to all these races, you can definitely hang out on WFO. All right, everybody, just stay tuned. Next podcast getting ready to drop. It's going to be Erica Enders. Don't miss it. Tell a friend.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO radio. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody, how do you start your day? You started off with a little coffee. And do you want something cheap and vacuum-packed with garbage? You want to pay for a retail coffee? It's like $11. Or do you want something that is good, like RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com? Join the RoadAxe Army. WFO users and listeners know all about it. Over 40 grades to choose from. This is roasted fresh per your order, not to mention hot sauce, spice rub. You got to call Marvin, get on the phone line, or go to the website, RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com. Check it out. That's RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com. Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for Super Comp, Super Gas, all the way up to Top Alcohol. They can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
This is WFO.